Have you ever taken the MBTI test, received INFJ as your result, and then quietly wondered, is this really me? Maybe the description felt strangely familiar, yet something deeper made you question it. Be honest for a moment. Haven't you always felt a little different from the people around you? Even when you're surrounded by friends, family, or coworkers, there's often a subtle feeling that you don't quite fit in. It's not that you dislike people or want to be alone all the time. It's more like you experience life through a different lens. While others seem comfortable focusing on what's happening around them, your mind is constantly searching for something deeper. You notice things that other people overlook. You ask questions that most people never think to ask, and sometimes it feels like the world is moving according to a set of rules that never quite match the way you naturally think and feel. If that sounds familiar, then this video may help explain why. Because today, we're exploring one of the rarest and most misunderstood personality types in the world. And by the end, you may finally understand yourself in a way you never have before. INFJ is one of the 16 personality types in the MBTI system, and is often considered one of the rarest. People who identify with this type are usually known for their strong intuition, deep empathy, rich inner world, and unusual ability to understand what others are feeling beneath the surface. They often notice patterns, emotions, and hidden meanings that many people miss. But this video isn't about putting you into a box or telling you who you are. Personality labels are only tools, not definitions. The goal here is much simpler: to help you understand yourself a little better. Whether you strongly relate to INFJ traits or are simply curious about them, what matters most is recognizing the patterns that resonate with your own life and experiences. The first sign is a feeling that's difficult to explain, but impossible to ignore. You often feel slightly out of sync with the world around you. Even when you're surrounded by people, laughing at the same jokes and participating in the same conversations, there's a quiet sense that you don't fully belong. It's not because you dislike people or prefer isolation. In fact, many people with this trait are friendly, warm, and perfectly capable of socializing. The difference is that while most people focus on what's happening on the surface, your mind naturally searches for what's underneath. You notice the meaning behind someone's words, the emotion hidden behind a smile, or the reason behind a behavior that others overlook. Social interaction can feel less like your natural state and more like a switch you consciously turn on when needed. And when that switch turns off, you return to observing, reflecting, and trying to understand the deeper patterns of life. If you've felt this way for as long as you can remember, it doesn't mean there's something wrong with you. It may simply mean that you experience the world on a deeper level than most people do. The second sign is having a strong intuition that you can't fully explain. Have you ever met someone who seemed perfectly kind and trustworthy on the surface, yet something inside you quietly warned that something wasn't right? Or maybe you've had a feeling that a situation was about to change long before there was any visible evidence. Experiences like these can feel strange, even unsettling, because they seem to appear out of nowhere. But intuition isn't magic, and it isn't a supernatural gift. In many cases, it's your brain processing countless small details beneath your conscious awareness. Tiny shifts in tone, facial expressions, habits, timing, and behavior are constantly being recorded in the background. Your mind connects these patterns and delivers a conclusion before you consciously understand how it got there. That's why your intuition often feels like a sudden knowing rather than a logical thought process. Of course, it won't be right every time. But if you've frequently looked back and realized your first instinct was accurate, you may not be imagining things at all. Your brain could simply be recognizing signals long before your conscious mind catches up. The third sign is being extremely sensitive to other people's behavior. You may notice things that seem invisible to everyone else: a slight change in someone's tone of voice, a hesitation before they answer a question, or a smile that doesn't quite reach their eyes. Sometimes all it takes is a short text message or a simple "I'm fine" for you to sense that something is wrong beneath the surface. While most people focus on the words being spoken, your attention naturally drifts toward body language, facial expressions, timing, and emotional energy. You often pick up on the gap between what someone says and what they truly feel. A friend may insist everything is okay, yet something inside you immediately recognizes sadness, stress, or disappointment. This ability can make you incredibly supportive because you often know when someone needs understanding long before they ask for help. If you frequently notice emotional signals that others overlook, it doesn't mean you're overthinking. It may simply mean that your mind is tuned to details and patterns that many people never consciously notice. The fourth sign is your ability to understand the hidden motives and emotions beneath the surface. When someone behaves badly, reacts with anger, or treats others unfairly, your first instinct often isn't to judge them. Instead, you find yourself wondering what pain, fear, or insecurity might be driving that behavior. While many people focus on what someone is doing, you naturally become curious about why they are doing it. You can often see the wounded person hiding behind the confident mask, the loneliness beneath the anger, or the insecurity beneath the need for attention. This doesn't mean you excuse harmful behavior, but it does mean you see a deeper layer that others often miss. You understand that people are shaped by experiences, disappointments, and emotional scars that aren't always visible from the outside. Because of this, friends may come to you for advice, feeling understood in ways they rarely experience elsewhere. If you often find yourself looking beyond behavior and searching for the story behind it, it may be because you have a unique ability to recognize the hidden pain that people work so hard to conceal. The fifth sign is being deeply affected by the emotions around you. Have you ever walked into a room and immediately sensed that something felt off, even before anyone said a word? Sometimes the atmosphere feels heavy, tense, or emotionally draining, and you absorb it almost instantly. You may notice that spending time around negative, angry, or emotionally overwhelmed people leaves you feeling exhausted, even when their problems have nothing to do with you. Crowded places, constant noise, conflict, and high-pressure environments can also drain your energy far more quickly than they seem to affect others. It's as if your emotional radar is always turned on, picking up signals that most people barely notice. Because of this, you may sometimes wonder if you're too sensitive or emotionally fragile. But the truth is, sensitivity is not the same as weakness. You simply experience emotions with greater intensity and awareness than many people do. What others brush off, you genuinely feel. And while that can be exhausting at times, it also allows you to connect with people on a level that many never experience. The sixth sign is that shallow conversations leave you feeling strangely empty. While many people enjoy talking about the weather, celebrity news, or everyday small talk, you often find yourself losing interest after just a few minutes. It's not because you think you're better than anyone else, and it's not because you dislike socializing. The truth is that your mind naturally craves depth. You want to talk about the experiences that shaped someone, the emotions they rarely share, the lessons they learned from pain, and the deeper meaning behind life itself. A single honest conversation at midnight may feel more fulfilling to you than hours spent at a crowded party. Because of this, you may have fewer friends than most people, but the connections you do keep tend to be incredibly strong and meaningful. You value authenticity over popularity, and genuine understanding over constant social interaction. If you've ever felt disconnected during surface-level conversations, it doesn't mean you're difficult to talk to. It may simply mean that you're searching for something more real than what most conversations are willing to offer. The seventh sign is a tendency to give too much of yourself to other people. You may find it almost impossible to ignore someone who is struggling, hurting, or in need of support. Even when you're exhausted, overwhelmed, or dealing with your own problems, you often put your feelings aside to help someone else. There's a part of you that genuinely wants to heal pain, solve problems, and make life a little easier for the people you care about. While this compassion is one of your greatest strengths, it can also become a hidden trap. Because you naturally understand what others are going through, you may attract people who constantly take your time, energy, and emotional support without giving much in return. Over time, this can leave you feeling drained, unappreciated, and disconnected from your own needs. You become so focused on carrying other people's burdens that you forget to take care of yourself. If this sounds familiar, remember that kindness is a gift, but it should never come at the cost of your own well-being. Supporting others is important, but so is protecting your own energy and learning that your needs matter too. The eighth sign is having surprisingly strong boundaries, even if you appear gentle and understanding on the surface. You may be the type of person who forgives mistakes, gives second chances, and patiently tries to see the good in others long after most people would have walked away. But there comes a point when something changes. After repeated disappointment, dishonesty, or emotional harm, you reach a limit that cannot be crossed. And when that moment arrives, you may completely cut ties with the person involved. This is often referred to as the INFJ door slam. It isn't about revenge, bitterness, or trying to hurt someone back. In many cases, it is a form of self-protection. Once you realize that a relationship has become toxic or damaging to your well-being, you stop investing your emotional energy in it altogether. What surprises people is how decisive this change can be. They remember your patience, kindness, and understanding, so they never expect you to walk away for good. But sometimes your silence is not a temporary reaction waiting to be fixed. It is a final decision to protect your peace and move forward. The first step toward growth is letting go of perfectionism. Many INFJs set incredibly high standards for themselves and become afraid of making mistakes. As a result, they delay starting because they feel their work isn't good enough yet. But progress comes from action, not perfection. Remember this: finished is better than perfect. A small step forward will always take you further than waiting endlessly for the perfect moment. The second step is to stop living only inside your mind. INFJs often spend so much time thinking, analyzing, and predicting possibilities that they become trapped in endless overthinking. But intuition grows stronger through real-world experience. You need to act, explore, make mistakes, and learn from them. Your intuition may be the compass, but action is what creates the path. Without experience, even the best instincts eventually lose their direction. The third step is to stop waiting for someone else to understand you completely. Many INFJs deeply crave that one person who can see every layer of who they are. But the truth is that no one can fully understand another human being. The more you learn to understand and validate yourself, the less power outside opinions will have over you. When you know who you are, other people's judgments become much easier to let go of, because your sense of worth no longer depends on their approval. The fourth step is learning how to express your emotions, instead of keeping everything locked inside. Many INFJs expect others to notice their struggles without saying a word, but people cannot read your mind. If you hide your feelings and needs, you may end up feeling unseen and misunderstood. If speaking openly feels difficult, try writing your thoughts down first. The people who care about you want to understand you, but they need something to understand. If you want to be loved in the way you need, you must show others how to reach you. The fifth step is protecting your energy. Because you absorb so much emotional information from the people and environments around you, burnout can happen faster than you realize. That's why rest is not a luxury for you, it's a necessity. Learn to say no without guilt. Step back when you feel overwhelmed, and give yourself time to recharge. Solitude, quiet moments, and healthy boundaries are not signs of weakness. They are forms of self-care. Remember, you cannot keep giving energy to everyone else if your own battery is already empty. If you recognized yourself in many of the signs we explored today, there is one final thing you should remember. Being an INFJ does not make you weak. The sensitivity you carry is not a flaw that needs to be fixed, and your deep emotions are not a burden you should be ashamed of. In fact, many of the qualities that sometimes make life more difficult for you are the same qualities that allow you to understand people, build meaningful connections, and see possibilities that others overlook. Your intuition is not something to ignore. It is one of your greatest tools for navigating life. And when you learn to balance that intuition with healthy boundaries, self-respect, and real-world action, you become something powerful, a person with a strong vision who is still grounded in reality. The world often celebrates noise, speed, and constant attention, but it also needs people who bring depth, compassion, and understanding. So be proud of who you are. Your sensitivity has value. Your perspective matters, and your presence brings something unique that this world would be poorer without. If this video helped you understand yourself a little better, consider giving it a like. Share it with someone who might relate to these experiences or benefit from hearing this message. I'd also love to hear from you in the comments. Which sign felt the most accurate for you? And if you're interested in exploring more about personality, psychology, and the hidden patterns of the human mind, be sure to subscribe and join us for future videos.